My name is Andrew Casey at Hypersanity Books. So this is my first live stream. I haven't done anything like this before. So thank you for your patience for those who have come on in shorter notice. I know I've only put the post out 3 days ago. I've had some technical difficulties only because I have never done anything like this before to know how to prompt through. So in today's video, be talking about just getting to know me a little bit better. You can ask some questions. I will do other live streams in regards to myself and publishing and other writing goals, but for now, I don't really know where to begin, except you've probably seen that I've come in and out on YouTube for the last 3 years, since early 2021. I have published some videos and then I step back and I step back in and step back out. Just through life, had a lot of different challenges. In the most recent, with my job, since we all know about the pandemic, I work with geriatrics in aged care in Australia, and sometimes there's a high demand for people. And I'm an assistant in nursing, not a registered nurse or a doctor. I prefer the assistant side. You work more in with people. With my profession, it's required a lot of me, and some of my personal goals get put back, though I am starting to take more time out from work to focus on my own personal goals and other endeavors to keep moving forward. That's a little bit of a summary on myself. I love my job, don't get me wrong, but there are other personal goals where I need to focus on what I want to obtain instead of focusing on what everyone else wants. So, hello, Lady Jane Books. This is my very first live stream, so thank you for giving a thumbs up. So I follow a few different authors and other book enthusiasts. Lady Jane Books is one of my favorite channels to follow. I also like David's book reviews. I do leave some links at the end of videos. I have a second channel, Hypersanity Animals, where it's music videos featuring animals. Pretty basic. And I do shout outs within that channel, but from there I want to do some more live streams and some more things with Hypersanity Books and build Hypersanity Books up. So I'll be doing different videos that others have suggested and recommended, and I'll be looking at doing shout outs and links to other videos at the end of those videos. So if you do have any book recommendations, I've got an open mind to doing a book review. So within this channel, I have done some book reviews, different videos on writing tips, some different categories on suggestions, such as writing stalkers in fiction, because there are different types of stalkers out there. And sometimes you can just get a little bit of creativity from watching those sorts of videos. I mostly enjoy case study videos. So case study videos are, like, for an example, I did one on Cruella being an anti-hero, and it's that type of case study on the character, how she developed through the film, and I try to bring the conversation back to writing every time. I do book and movie comparisons. It's been enjoyable, and thank you for your comment for my first live stream. It's different. I feel like I'm talking to myself while I am trying to talk to someone. So thank you for your comments, Jane. So there are other channels I do enjoy. Dark Violet Dreams is another channel, though she's removed a lot of her videos and I don't have contact to ask why or what her plans are for the future. So I'm hoping Dark Violet Dreams comes back into YouTube and keeps going. A lot of her videos and reviews are quite interesting. And my other favorite booktube channel is David's book reviews. I find he's down to earth. He's engaging to listen to. His reviews are honest. His opinions are honest as well. So I do enjoy engaging in his content as well. So I have looked at other booktube channels such as Jenna Moresi. That was one of my first that I found. And give or take, I know there's criticisms out there. I think it takes a lot of guts to do what she's doing. I have pulled away from some of her content, however, but that's nothing personal. It's just we need to make time to write more books and read more books. Otherwise, does anyone have any questions at the moment? Anyone at all? It's a bit silent. Well, Salvatore Books, he is close to publishing another book. He's been patient with me. I've come in and out of the live stream today 3 times trying to figure out how to do it. So I do appreciate the patience that he's had to support along the way with the channel. So with publishing, at the moment, I've published one book, Dark Sparrow, and I am working on the long-awaited sequel at the moment. There is another book coming out very soon towards some pre-sales, getting ready for Christmas. So the book I've worked on with another co-author, it's been an exciting process, a bit challenging between two people with creative ideas, and it's just having fun with it. And I found doing more of a comedy styled book around some different supernatural drama worked well. How did I get into writing? Um, I had a university professor from nursing, and he published a book. So his book was titled um, Random Reflections of a Loony Bin. So it's about getting into nursing as a male nurse for the first time. He has written a second book, Some Kind of Nurse, which is more about the Some Kind of Nurse is more about the mainstream general hospital, and then he's working on a third one into aged care, which is what I currently do for a profession. So I consulted with Gordon Kirkham is his name. I've done a review on his book, Random Reflections of a Loony Bin, and from there I got inspired to write more, and I just enjoyed the process of consulting with others, and that helped um, to help with further engaging into writing more content. So at the moment, Dark Sparrow was a hard book that I wrote, science fiction, urban fantasy, and I found it was a good balance. It did challenge on a lot of controversial subject matter. Though the book I've got coming out for Christmas, The Asshole Who Didn't Want to Celebrate Christmas. And from there was a bit of a backstory how I got into writing with another author, Joanne Hensler, where, long story short, without too many spoilers, we came up with the idea within the workplace. And she said, I have a brilliant title. And after a few things where she came forward with it, then it was an interesting process. So she is currently working on another book for next year. The Tooth Fairy is a crazy bitch. So we're sort of going between a male version of a book being an asshole and a crazy bitch for a female. But when you read The Asshole Who Didn't Want to Celebrate Christmas, when you look at it, there is a particular chapter that opens up in the first person perspective where you actually see the way he thinks and the way he interacts with other people. He's not an asshole at all. It's just an asshole around certain people within the neighborhood because he doesn't want to celebrate Christmas and be around the fake people. There are some other concepts within the story as it unfolds with the drama, but working on a comedic story with another author has been an exciting process. So I do intend to write some more books with Joe, and we'll keep moving forward. So my first book, Dark Sparrow, was published. It was in March 2020. It got pushed back to April because of COVID. I had the flights planned, the hotel planned with my wife and I. It was my first time to travel overseas. We were going to go to London, to the London Book Fair, and then everything got cancelled. So with Dark Sparrow, there has been a lot of delays and a lot of setbacks. Working on the second book, however, it has done my head in. I have restarted the whole project 4 or 5 times, and it's only because of new information. So the sequel has been a lot more complicated than the first. And I would say the hardest point with writing the second book is I've been going off the 7 stages of grief. So the first book is heavily focused on shock and trauma because we're introducing characters and introducing the concept of 2 worlds. So with Dark Sparrow, it's basically it's our world with people who have their daily life, and then their part-time life is living on another planet named Elbak, which has more of your uh, supernatural themes. So the high point of that story is the magic university that they go to, or they're trying to unsolve a mystery, which is a science fiction part of the story. They find that you got this class called Mystic, where it's a prestigious university. So you have people who are clerics, sorceries, and psionics. So it's all 3 classes in one, which also means that this other princess is flawed compared to some of the other characters, to their magical abilities, because she's widened what she's doing, but potentially she has other talents that they don't have. So that it comes into the main character having different fears and phobias. There is a bit of a love interest with another bounty hunter rival. So Dark Sparrow is the main character. The rival, Jane Turner, she's sort of a dim-witted comic relief in the story, but her father is a lawyer in our world, and he's a sorcerer, head of the university in the other world, but he only focuses on sorcery. So she has a crush on Jane's father, which is 30 years her senior. So I went for a age gap relationship story between Dark Sparrow and Maxwell Turner. The thing is, with a couple traditional publishing routes, they wanted to turn Dark Sparrow into a lesbian, and I wasn't keen for that change. There was a lot of recommended changes, and I just couldn't go with that. So I went more of the self-publishing, hybrid publishing path to keep true to what I worked on. I'll just grab a copy of the book. Do appreciate the comments, but this is the cover, Lady Jane. So Dark Sparrow, the Mastermind, it got published with iUniverse in the US, though they have, and I'm being honest, they have the price too high. So I am looking with some other publishing houses moving forward. Though one of the problems I find, I love the cover, I love what they did. The spine is pretty cool. There's a 1 in the middle just to say that it's the first book. So the second book will be heavily focused on denial, if we're talking grief. So each of the 7 books, and this is where I went wrong, I focused on the first book and did a good job with it. Then the second book, yeah, I've come up with some ideas for the second book to keep it to a simpler story, though I'm thinking too many books ahead, and that's where I've gone wrong. I'm thinking of keeping to the same formula of prologue, epilogue, 28 chapters, and then focus on the second book to do the same. Then the third book would be grief, anger, then negotiating, bargaining. That would be, so the middle point of the fourth book would be the middle of the saga, all the way leading towards the acceptance phase or the final resolution of the whole story to wrap everything up. So it is a cool book design. I am so happy with that. And I know there's a lot of talk of AI technology out there, but the best thing I did with the cover, so this is Nigel Giovanni. He's one of the villains in the book. He's got the cybernetic arms. So he's within the book. So what I did was I had a concept of the cybernetic arms, the business suit, and another friend who was a co-worker with long brown hair, and gave 3 different photos to the artist and said, create this in your own way. So that's what I went for the story. there is a cat on the front cover, so that's the fantasy element. Same with the princess. Dark Sparrow's in the middle. In the book, she wears black, but when the cover design came forward, just stuck to it because my wife liked the cover, so I just went with it instead of what's said in the book. So the princess is wearing purple, and that's just representing the color of magic between red for sorcery, blue for psionics, and white for cleric, but it's mixing the colors to make the purple. That's heavily focused within the story. There are other things mentioned, such as druids and there's druids, dragon riders, and then there's necromancy, but there's no touch on necromancy in the first book. I've thought about that for the second book several times, but again, I'm restarting the whole project, unfortunately. Then there's a therapist. She's got a logo on the front vest saying NEV, meaning Nankin Emergency Volunteers, because a big part of the focus on our world is volunteering to make it better. Though Dark Sparrow talks about getting paid and not trying to please everyone. So there are different challenges on right and wrong within the story. Then Jane Turner, that's her with her head turned to the side. So for that photo, I had a friend who I based the character off. That's actually the same armor that she wears for motocross. So the character is heavily based off a real person. The hair, the face, the expressions. But again, I gave 3 photos to the artist and said, create your art. Hope is heavily drawn on a concept I have for my own son when he was older. Little did I know, without having custody of him for some time and seeing him, his hair went from honey blonde to black like myself. So it was a big shock not being able to see my son for a lot of years. Long story short, family court is difficult, but we'll just leave that aside. But I just gave the concept of the green ghee because it's representing of something within the story. And it was, again, it was good to work in with the cover artist, Troy Marino. He is actually the protagonist of the story. Even though Dark Sparrow is, he is also the protagonist of the story because of how many chapters are actually focused on him with the leadership. So that's something you can do. You can write multiple perspectives of protagonists to unfold the story in a different way because each are solving different problems. And then there's the story is someone in a cybernetic suit and then an alien at the back. So it has a small introduction to a third planet just to add the science fiction element and the psionics, but it was also just the way that there is that psychological theme within the story to mix it up. And I quite like how that worked. So it was enjoyable to write the book. Though for the next book, it's just going off another concept to have some different characters on the book. So characters that are mentioned in the first book and part of the mystery, whether they're involved or not. Some of those characters are coming onto the front cover of the next book, and we're going to go from there. But as far as the book goes, buying the paperback, I'm just going to be honest, I wouldn't recommend because it is overpriced the way it was branded, and I couldn't control that with the other company. But as an ebook, it's perfectly priced. And we've got the Hypersanity Books logo on the side, on the spine, and on the back cover, we have iUniverse, their business, and my business, Hypersanity Books. So all books that I'll be publishing will keep being branded that way, just as a way of building the business and also for tax and compliance purposes. So, and seeing your comment, yeah, 7, like the concepts of grief. I know some talk about 5 stages, but I think having 7 stages works better because a lot of grief starts with shock or trauma. And that's the whole thing of the premise of Dark Sparrow. She's investigating this other world and using excuses for some of her questionable behavior because she is actually afraid of the unknown, the supernatural. There is also another stage of grief, which is called testing, where you have depression as the 5th and then testing for the 6th stage. And that's where things can just drag out in life or be we've gone through so much, but how do you get from that point to the acceptance phase? And there's some situations where there is no resolution. So no, it's been wonderful to write. Sorry, just working on something here. So yeah, no, so it's been enjoyable, but the most recent book that I've worked on with someone else has actually been a lot easier. And with more experience in the last 4 years of writing, good and bad, and things that you throw out, working on The Asshole Who Didn't Want to Celebrate Christmas has been enjoyable. There is no cover just yet. So what I've done is use AI to create some concepts given to the artist and say, make this your work of art in your eyes, in your vision. So when we talked about AI, with a cover like this, AI can't do this. It required, when you look at 10 characters on the cover, and the fact that I sent 3 photos per character and talked about positionings and everything else, and certain quirks like the way Edward the cat is formed, it's hard to get AI to do that perfectly or reposition that. So leave it to the professional, and that's what I recommend. But I'd suggest when doing certain cover art like this, like that's complicated like this, is to work on each character with 3 or 4 photos, put your prompts forward to a professional, and let them create something. So when this cover was done, the only flaw to what was said was Hope's outfit was not green, it was black. But that's where you go over your revision. So that's the only thing that changed, was to make that green, just to fit within the story. But Dark Sparrow's supposed to wear black, though I can actually see why a lot of Batman adaptations wear grey, so you can still see the character even though he's the Dark Knight. So it's certainly an open-minded way to go with that. So no, it's been a good process. So I am working on some other projects. The person who worked on the editing for The Asshole Who Didn't Want to Celebrate Christmas, these are 2 of his books, Fairy Nights. I've reviewed these 2 on my channel. I have the other 2 books as ebooks, not paperback. And the only reason I did that is because within the paperback, there's certain things that have come out where one of the places is called Swamp Fart Forest. So in the ebook, it's written the way it should be. Within the paperback, it's not. So I let him know that that's one of the big flaws of how that was published. So that was annoying, because the next book was called Swamp Thingy. And yeah, again, that's a concept that I think he went well with Swamp Fart Forest, and then certain censorships through your publishing can come through the wrong way. So I know some people do Kindle direct publishing. I'm not too keen on it, because when it comes to certain censorships and things, and Amazon's a big company, so as much as you need Amazon to put a lot of your books out, I also find Kindle Unlimited publishing, I think it takes advantage of a lot of authors who are putting their work up for free to get reviews, but they're missing out on potential sales. It's a give and take, but the big company is making the profit. So that's always something to think about. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can publish books, and I am working on some other potential projects ahead. I am using a bit of Chat GPT with my son to show him some other ways of editing. So yeah, no, it's a lot to think. It's a lot to think about. Um, Trying to think. Sorry, keeping the ball moving. So yeah, so Damien Hansen, he also goes under, for his other books, he's Damien Hansen, and for the kids' books, he's Dames Hansen. So I think that's a good way to keep your stories clean, when you're publishing for another wider group. No, thank you. I absolutely agree on that one with Amazon. It's like I said, I'm not completely against the company, but as a big company, it does have a lot of people putting their books up for free. And sometimes Kindle Direct Publishing can make a lot of mistakes with your books when they are published into paperback. So I think there are some other routes that you can take, but there are a lot of companies that take advantage. So within publishing Dark Sparrow, I have had emails, and not just from my personal email, which I am annoyed how people get their hands on my personal, but for my business email, Andrew Casey at hypersanitybooks.com, I have had a ridiculous amount of different people claiming to be companies to set up deals, and we need your money to do this. And we're not investing in you, but you invest in yourself, and we take advantage of your work. But they don't really invest in you. And I find that you got to be careful because there are a lot of different scams out there. And then when someone says that they're promoting books and they're able to do a good job and they love your book, and if they can't tell me that Dark Sparrow is the main character of Dark Sparrow, then we've got a problem. So you always got to be careful on who you're trusting. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap up this live stream very soon. I will be looking at definitely a lot of scams. I get fed up with it. We have the home phone ring constantly from. We've actually gone to blocking that many numbers now that we now have problems with our phone service because we have blocked too many numbers being scammers from trying to sell us. The most common one we get is solar panels to try to hook us up on deals with that. We have solar. We don't need other companies and fake scammers doing something. But we have blocked the same type of people calling through to the point that we can't block anyone else anymore. We've overreached the limit on the service, which is terrible. So, it's so with publishing books, you have to be careful who you can trust. But in regards to Hypersanity Books, we are looking at being more of a hybrid publishing route. So working in with some mostly self-publishing houses that can lead to some traditional paths, but mostly stick to the self-publishing path. And as a hybrid publisher, invest into someone's book. So someone is getting a book published and say, okay, here's a budget of $5,000 US. Let's put into this project. Let's see where this can go. But at the moment, we're just at the phase of working in with some co-authors to publish some books with the Hypersanity Books logo on it and help certain people get different investment that way to be looked after. Thank you so much again, Lady Jane Books, for your support with the live stream. It's nerve-wracking doing this for the first time, and I haven't been active on YouTube like I should be. So I do appreciate your support and engagement today. It's been helpful. I will look at doing some more live streams again soon. Just needing to work out what sort of time zones work best for people. But again, I need to do a lot more with Hypersanity Books to build up an audience for live streaming. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up there, unless there's anyone else having questions. But otherwise, that's it for today. Hit like, subscribe, comment, and I'll be doing some more videos and live streams soon. Again, thank you for all the support within this channel. We will keep moving forward, and I've tried not to waffle on today. It's a bit hard without a structure, but I don't mind the live stream. It's authentic. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks again.